My name is Beth Gray, and I am, as Mike said, the program coordinator at the Aging and Disability Resource Center for the Northern Region of Alaska. We're more commonly known as ADRC North, and we are located in the Fairbanks Senior Center. If you remember, the last couple of years we've had a pandemic, and we have actually been closed. The Senior Center has been closed to foot traffic for the last 2 years. So we've all been working out of our homes, and but we have still been answering the phones, and we are still active even though the Senior Center is closed. I want you to know that ADRC North is answering its phone every single day. Hi, Webster Grace. And we are working diligently to help individuals from Cantwell in the south to Barrow in the north, and Galena in the west, and the Canadian border in the east. Well, actually the Alaska border, not Newfoundland. I think that's what's over there. And so we are working every day to do that. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about aging in place in Fairbanks, which is something that we all hope to do. We all hope to age in place. We all hope to age and do that at home. So as we're just talking about aging in place, of course, the idea of what aging in place is comes to mind. So what is aging in place? And it really does depend on who you ask. We're going to use the CDC definition, which is the ability to live in one's own home and community safely, independently, and comfortably, regardless of age, income, or ability level. Which again is what we all want to do. We want to, if Fairbanks is our home now, we want to live in Fairbanks from today to our last day, and we want to be able to do that with the resources that are included in our community. The subtitle of this discussion tonight is creating a network of care. So if you think network, I'm originally from Fairbanks, but also lived a great deal of my life as a commercial fisherman down on the Kenai. I think of a net, right? When I say network, I'm really thinking of a net. So we want to create this net that can hold us up, surround us, and hopefully it won't catch us in its web. A network of care, again, depends on who you ask. For the purpose of this discussion, we'll use a hybrid definition that I very dutifully pulled off the internet. Which is fast, easy access to trusted, comprehensive community support and services, information, and assistance for the purpose of individual health and safety. And I just want to edit that to add happiness. It's funny because when I looked on the internet, no one said happiness. We want to age in place. We want to be active. We want to continue our lives. We want to be ourselves for the rest of our lives. And so when we do that, we most easily and happily do that in our homes. Where do you begin? When you're thinking about aging in place and you're thinking about creating a network of care, there are scads of information out there. The headlines are alternately too cheery and disastrous. You can read all the headlines and you can look at graphs and you can do all this. Some of the things you might be drawn to are to educate yourself. And you can see if you were here and you listened to any of these amazing individuals, educating yourself is something that's easy to do in Fairbanks. UAF has made it extremely easy to do that. And then there's this other, what else do we do? How do I prepare for this? How do I think about myself as an aging person? So we as people anticipate aging. We watch people do it well, we watch people do it poorly, and there's just so many things to consider that it's hard to know where to begin. And so I go back to my grandfather. I was super lucky. Don't tell my mom, she'll just gloat. I was super lucky to grow up in a multi-generational home. We lived with my parents and my grandparents and my great aunt and all my cousins, and everybody kind of lived at the ancestral homestead, and we grew up that way. And my grandfather used to always say this to me: no matter where you go, there you are. Well, many of you know Beth Gray in this room, and she's a bit of a smarty pants, so my response was always like, oh, Grandpa, no. Until I realized what he meant was this: no matter where you go, there you are. It's still just you. No matter where you go today, Beth Gray goes to Hawaii, it's still just me. Go to Europe, it's still just me. Go to Talkeetna, it's still just me. And I should treat myself like me, and I should anticipate myself just being me no matter where I go. I always thought it was about a destination, and it turns out it was about me the whole time. And my grandfather was trying to tell me, hey, stop, be you, prepare to be you, and things will be fine. This is me. Have you ever done it? Have you ever packed your bags and decided that you're going to go someplace, and you get there and you're like, who packed my bag? Like, this is idiotic. I remember distinctly going to Hawaii just in February and pulling out a swimming suit, and I went, this. I'm not going to be me when I go to Hawaii because this seems ridiculous, right? So what if, instead of preparing for retirement, preparing for our old age, or even preparing to go wherever life takes us, man, we just prepare to be ourselves from today to our last day? We don't prepare for the destination, we prepare for the traveler. And I guess that's what at ADRC North we work with most. We work to prepare the traveler, not try to make the destination fit. And so, shameless plug, ADRC North is one of the ADRCs in the state of Alaska. There are 6 of us, soon to be 7. And this is what we try to do. We try to help people identify long-term goals. And, see, I'm even prepared myself, but I'm not using it. I'm trying to read that. It's ridiculous. We try to identify your goals, consider the supports and services that you may need to live those goals, not just create them and put them on a shelf and say, well, this sounds really good, but to actually live whatever your goals are. And then explore your options for achieving, meeting, or keeping those goals. You may have already met them. You may say, this right here, this moment, this is my best life. Then you don't have to meet any goals, you just need to keep them. And you need to figure out what you need to do that. Then we help connect you with resources that you choose and help support your needs. And then we follow up to ensure that your needs are met. And we really just suggest that you do the same. Now, how do we start doing that? That sounds overwhelming, right? There's a lot of things there. Everybody's going to see it. Try not to groan. I promise I won't go over the whole thing. But here we are with our good friend Maslow. And the fact is that when we're talking about aging and we're talking about living and continuing to do the things that we want to do, Maslow's our friend. You've got to think about the physiological things first. Literally, where am I going to live? And that sounds real dumb. Until you get up from the couch one day and your knees go, not today, friend. Right? And your knees keep you right on that couch. Then all of a sudden your 32 interior stairs look real hard. And so we talk about housing. We talk about food and water and sex. We don't talk about that very often, honestly. Yeah, it's not for me. No, never mind. We talk about sleep. We talk about homeostasis, and we talk a lot about excretion. All right, people like to talk about going to the bathroom, and it's real important, so we do it a lot. We also talk about safety, security of body, of employment or resources, of morality and family and health or property, and that's kind of where ADRC most often gets off the bus. We talk about creating the environment in which you can then achieve those next things: love and belonging, esteem, self-actualization, whatever that means. We do sometimes get into talking about love and esteem and those types of things because they require interaction. And what we see a lot of times is we see people who are aging interact less. either because they have physical or emotional or psychological reasons that they want to stay home, or they don't just move as well as they used to, and they just don't, or they don't know what to do. And so we do tend to work with that a little bit. Now I'm going to apologize for this one next, and I just hate it. Don't look at it for too long. But it's the only copy of this that I could find. And there's this. Oops. Oh, I did it again. I don't know. I'm just pressing a bunch of buttons. Listen, I started teaching with a chalkboard, and I missed it when we went to the whiteboard. This is fancy. And don't look at it too long, but what's super interesting about aging is usually we're starting here. You're self-actualized. You've done it. You know who you are. You've got all the love in the world. You've made all of your friends. You've made all of your connections. And what happens is these guys sneak up on you. And your pyramid gets top heavy. Yep, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, right until you're not fine. Right until you get hit in the head with a coconut and that pyramid goes upside down, and then we're upside down. And so when we're talking about Maslow, especially for aging at home and talking about seniors, we're talking to people who have rich life experiences, who built this state, who have lived here and taught here and driven cab here and flown here and done all of the things here, and they know all of this, and this overtakes them, and that would be a shame. And so we do want to talk a little bit about the practicality of where are you, right? No matter where you are, there you go. I kind of turned that one on its thing, right? So here we go. Where are you? And you have to take a little bit of time to think. If you're going to age in place, and some of you right now, I'm not gonna look at anybody right now. I'm gonna look down at this. Because some of you right now are saying, well, that's not me. I'm good. I'm years away from this. False. You're today away from this. Start today. Even you, right? Little one back there, she's 12 learning the ropes, right? Your dad didn't think that he'd see a 7th grade English teacher up here talking about aging either. Tricky, right? So today's the day to start thinking about this. And it's not the day to start putting in grab bars into your shower, maybe, right? Maybe you're a ways away from grab bars, but you're not anywhere away from identifying your long-term goals and considering the supports and services you may need to live in those goals. How do you want to live your life? It's as simple and as difficult as that. What do you want your life to look like from today to your last day? Are you a traveler? Are you putting all your money away and your house is just going to be a stopover? I got lots of people that are that. It's literally just a May through September operation, and they lock it up and they're headed out. We have lots of people who are, the snowbird action. We have lots of people that are staying in Fairbanks. They're Fairbanks strong. They're like me, man. Nothing's better than January in Fairbanks. It's the best. But you have to think about it, and you have to actually plan for it. Don't just end up there, because you'll hear people say a ton of times, I blinked and then I was 80. In my brain, I'm 20. But my body is, they use all kinds of terrible words for their wonderful, stalwart, beautiful, working bodies. They use all kinds of my body betrayed me. It did not. It's doing its thing. And so prepare for what that's going to look like. Explore your options for achieving, meeting, or keeping those goals. Look around and do it now. In Fairbanks, you have to look hard. There are lots of ways to help somebody age in place in Fairbanks, but you have to start asking, and you have to start making inroads, and we're going to talk about how to do that here in just a second. And then connect with the resources that you choose to support your needs. Connect with them now. See what they look like now. Become a part of those committees. Go to those meetings. Go check in with these groups and become an integral part of them so that when it's time for you to use them, you just make some phone calls. And then follow up. I keep saying that, and we'll get to the following up part. So once again, we're identifying the goals for aging in place. Like Maslow, these first two things, these physiological needs and these safety needs, allow for those subjective needs, right? The actual physical needs allow you to have these subjective things. If you have these two first things met, you can do those bottom three things. So here's where we start talking about resources and things in the community and ways to go about doing this. And talking about the physiological needs, we start with basic needs: food, water, shelter, heat, and light. And that is taking a good look around your house today when you go and you say, can I live here? Add the number of years, 2 years, 10 years, 25 years from now, and what's going to sometimes literally trip me up. Start looking, please, for the love of all things, start with your throw rugs. Man, I love a good throw rug. Love them. Have them all over the place. 10 years from now, I'm not going to be able to have them. So save the flavor, because they got to go out, because they're a trip hazard. Then one of the number one things that we talk to people about when we are talking to them is somebody fell. They fell, and either they fell and it meant there was something else going on. They fell and they broke something. They fell and when they broke something, they discovered something else. They fell and that caused a lack of mobility that then led to something else. So take a look around the house. Just look around your food and water, shelter, heat and light. The other thing you can do for yourself today is start getting some ambient lighting. Some new lighting in your house. One of the second only probably, well, throw rugs, stairs, and then bad lighting are what make people fall. Health, think about sleep, exercise, mental stimulation, and medical care. In those things, you are going to want to, we were just talking to Dr. Triplehorn. He was here not too long ago, talking about how sleep is one of the biggest contributors, or lack of sleep, poor sleep, contributors to the dementias of any kind, and to overall health of any kind. So take a look at your sleep, see how it works, see what you need to do, how you're going to change that. Get yourself a little exercise. I do not want to talk about Jane Fonda. I do not want to talk about sweating to the oldies. I want to talk about taking a walk. 20 minutes a day, a nice leisurely walk to get out and move your body and just remind yourself and your body that you can do those things. Just getting up and changing your location, going outside, doing some things like that for exercise. Joining a senior group. There are lots of senior groups around town who are doing exercise. There's chair exercise. I promise you the chair Zumba is as much fun, probably more, because you don't have to worry about falling and showing your underpants to everybody, because you can do everything that you need to do in a chair. There are all levels, and you'll find the one that's right for you, but you got to get out and try. Mental stimulation, back there on that table where you came in, I have some books that are puzzles and games. Yep, that's mental stimulation, but it's also just picking up the phone and talking to somebody. Call your kids, call your grandkids, call your friends, go have lunch with that friend that you haven't had lunch with for a while. Go to the senior center. We do have the annex open in the Shoppers Forum Mall. Go interact with people, volunteer. Meals on Wheels is always looking for volunteer drivers. There are lots of places that are looking for volunteer things. Go to the library and hang out. Go listen to the little kids' story time in the Berry Room. It's a delight. But learn something new every day. Here at UAF, we have Ollie and Osher. There are lots of things to be done. I think we call it Road Scholar these days, don't we? We're supposed to call it something different. And then thinking about your medical care. And here's where being your own best keeper is the thing to do. Learn about your insurance. How does your insurance work? How does Medicare serve you? How does Medicaid serve you? How does your insurance serve you? And if it offers you things for preventative care, do it. If it offers you the tiniest bit of dental, if it offers you the tiniest bit of vision, do those things and know how your insurance will help you. It is a tool and you have paid for it and or are paying for it, and it's a biggie. The next thing is self-determination. When we're talking about physiological needs, people have a physiological need to be mobile, to get up and be able to walk across a room, walk into a bathroom, get into a shower. They have a physiological need for that. They have a need for transportation. They have a need for financial control. So when we're talking about actual physiological needs, right, you can see how they kind of slant toward physiological, but you got to be able to control your money to be able to get your food and your electric, and you got to get those things sorted out. There are 1,000 things that we could talk about today, and not even a fast talker like me could get them all into an hour. But being able to pay your electric ahead a little bit every month, $2. Being able to get onto some of the payment plans that allow you to pay a fixed amount for your electric or for your fuel is helpful. Working on some of these things again ahead of time. Usually those cutoffs start right around 60, and they say, oh, if you're 60 or older, you can. That if I were wearing a collar, that would make my collar feel tight. Oh, 60, that's not me. Whew, it's coming up pretty quick. Right? And so you start looking at some of those programs, take advantage of it. I hear time and time again, oh, no, that's for people who need it. Oh, no, that's not for me. I can blank. I can walk. My uncle this weekend told me, oh, I've never had trouble getting into my tub. And I'm looking at a 76-year-old man who is 6'6" and weighs 325, holding a helium balloon, and thinking, yep, it's only going to take that, that's loud, that long for you to end up in the bottom of that tub, and there's nobody getting soapy old you out, and not it. Not even going to try. I'm calling 911, that is their job. The time that you need it is the hiker's motto. Drink before you're thirsty, eat before you're hungry. Because by the time you feel those things, by the time that something happens, it's too late. That thing already happened. So when you're looking into these things, don't say, oh, that's not me. If they offer it to you and it makes sense to you and you're able, take it. Safety needs. Right? Accessibility. I don't even know what to say about basic needs for that except accessible. Count your house in steps. Count your bathroom in how you could get up off the toilet if you couldn't get up off the toilet. How you can steady yourself in the shower. How you get into and out of bed. Is it high enough? Is it as simple as buying some risers for your bed to make it high enough? Do you need to get yourself an adjustable bed? Right? Making those tiny, small changes for that is a really easy and good thing to do. The next one is health. Think about in-home supports and services and creating your network of care. And that's kind of what we're starting to talk about now, is creating a network of care. And that looks so different for everyone. And we talk to, I'm looking at Alice, because Alice back there is the intake specialist at ADRC North. And we talk to hundreds of people a week. And we've talked to, just this week, we've talked to a group of ladies who all decided to move into the same apartment building together. That's all they did. That's their first plan. And it's going to be great. They're all going to watch out for each other. They're going to share meal making. They're going to share a maid once a week who's going to come in and help them. They're going to share costs. They're going to share rides. They're moving into a building that is accessible for all of them. And that's their first step. They're just going to do that for now because that's all they need. They're very active. They're very well. And that's the beginning of their network of care. They have 5 friends in their group, and they're going to start to care for themselves. And they're going to keep an eye on each other. They're going to look and say, one of them said the first thing we decided was to find out if we smelled old. And they had just asked each other, and they smelled each other and said, do we smell old? And they're like, how would we know if we smelled old? And they, asked some of their friends, they asked some of their grandkids and said, do I smell old? Right? So it's as simple as that. It makes them feel good. It gives them something to talk about and think about, and they're going to move from there into all kinds of different things. So that network of care looks different for everyone. And you're going to hear that term a lot. Network of care very often is talking about medical care, talking about the route from acute care to assisted living to other types of care in your community. But network of care in this case is just who are the people that are going to help you do this.
Do you want to take a question now, or do you want to?
Oh, I'll always just take a question. Sure.
Network of care, it fascinated my 94-year-old mother is just dealing with this now, and for years she's been talking about a group of her friends doing this very thing. When do you see this happening? Do you see it happening more and more frequently? How sophisticated is it? What's going on just as the baby boom starts?
Sure, it doesn't happen nearly enough. We see it happening more out of, and I'm not telling any tales out of school to say that this group of 5 friends has one group that they need to, one person that they need to surround. And she was their impetus to say, we're going to have to help here. And so they all came together and said, okay, wow. And then they realized, oh, this is going to help us. So we're seeing it probably in the 70s right now. People in their 70s are doing it when probably, you might think about it in your 60s. And that doesn't mean that you have to just, say to your husband or wife, well, I'm off. I'm going to go live with my friends. That's not popular. Beth Gray told me, no, I don't need a bunch of angry phone calls tomorrow, saying, yeah, well, sorry, I'm out. Couples are moving into same buildings together. They're groups of people, family units. Oh, once more, I'll roll back to my mom. My mom has always told me, Mom, if you're watching this, just forget I said this. There's nothing to see here. My mom told me early on, she said, I wish people would stop being mad at people and mocking them for moving back in with their parents. That's exactly what needs to happen. Children should go out, they should make it on their own, they should come back to their family homes, and everyone should live together in multi-generational homes, because that's how we care for each other. That's how we care for our elders. And people are doing it. They're starting to take that sort of European model for some countries and say, oh, we can come in and we can share bills, and mom will be healthier and we will be happier. Our kids will be happier to have grandma and grandpa and uncle and everybody around, and we'll all live a better life. So there are lots of models that are starting to pop up in Fairbanks. I'm sure you've heard the term silver tsunami. Right now in Fairbanks, we're in trouble. We don't have enough services for the groups, the people that need services. And every person associated even remotely with the hospital right now is going, I see you. We don't have enough services. And so we're going to have to make our own. People are going to have to work for themselves. We don't have, Mike and I talked a little bit before people got here about graduated living facilities, where you start off living in an independent living, and then you go to like a what we would call supported living, kind of like Raven Landing, right, where they provide some meals and they provide some maid service and things like that. And then there's assisted living, which is where you get the 24-hour care, but it's not the next, which is skilled nursing. Right? Number of those that we have in Fairbanks are 0. We have a sort of approximation in the Pioneer Home, because you can move in as a level 1, which is very, very independent. You got your own car, you're going out to eat ice cream on Saturdays, you're going off to do shopping and things like that. You come back at night, and then you can graduate to skilled nursing. But that's one building of less than 100 beds, so less than 100 Fairbanksans can live in. We don't have any graduated living care facilities outside of that. So people are starting to make them. We are starting to see a couple of people just make offshoots, but as far as actually doing that, we don't have it. The next thing that we want to talk about is just self-determination. And it's probably the most important part of the safety needs. And on your way out, there are some blue folders back there, and they say ADRC on the front. And these have the goods for self-determination. And these are the things that everyone in this room, maybe not you, maybe not even Dave, maybe not her, no, those little guys back there, but everybody should do these things. And in these, on the left-hand side, you'll see just an ADRC brochure. It has all the ADRCs on it. It has our number big on the back. We also have a little something about senior scams. Everybody should be thinking about scams every single day, wondering if that email that you got was clickbait, wondering if that call you got was really from your grandson Kyle, who's stranded in Mexico, and I need $1,000, Grandma, or they're going to kill me. Nope, Kyle's just at Burger King. It has a list, which is a common forms list. It's a list of the things that you need when you go to do almost anything. On this list, to start with, is your Social Security statement of benefits, state IDs, driver's license, tribal ID, Social Security card. All these things, just start gathering them now and put them into the spot where you can find them. The red folder, the blue folder, the wherever, start collecting these, because when you need them now. You don't have time to wait to find out they're 73rd in the queue at Social Security. God bless them, they do a great job, but 73rd in the queue is long. And it'll still take you a week to get your Social Security card at your best, on the best day. So there's lots of these. Start gathering those things. There's also a senior resource list that's included on the left. And this just has a number of different resources in the Fairbanks area, starting with emergency services. It talks a little bit about assisted living homes, independent living home facilities, home modifications, housing assistance, all of these kinds of things. I didn't think there'd be more than 2 or 3 people here today, so I made what I thought was plenty. If you don't get one, Alice is going to make some up in the next couple of days, and we'll have some available at the senior center, and you can just drop by and get them. You can also call us, and we can email you every single thing that's in this packet. There's also a list of the Fairbanks Estate Planning Commission. Nope, not commission, council in Fairbanks. And this is a group of attorneys, CPAs, retirement planners, who help people work on their estates. And you say, well, I don't have an estate. You do. You have some stuff. You have some savings. You have some retirement coming in. You have some insurance. You have maybe a house or a bicycle or a lot of dog toys. You have some stuff. And these people can help you figure out how and when and what to do with these things. So that is what's on the left-hand side. And today, probably the most important thing I want to talk about is the big 4. And that's on the right-hand side. And this is under self-determination. And then the first one is power of attorney. For the love of all things holy, today go get a power of attorney. Tomorrow you could get hit in the head with a coconut, and if nobody knows what you want in the world, you're going to wear a coconut hat and a grass skirt, and they're going to roll you out in the golden days. That's what I would do. Get a power of attorney who knows you. Not who you think would be good. Not who is going to for sure outlive you. Right? My cousin Anna Leah is 30 years younger than I am. She is for sure going to outlive me, and she's a genius, and she's whatever. She doesn't know the first thing about me. Choose somebody who knows the things that you want. Yes, have your spouse be the first power of attorney, but there's a way to get a backup on here. If that first one can't do it for whatever reason, you guys were sitting under the same coconut tree and both got hit in the head with a coconut, you have an alternate. These, of course, have to be signed by a notary. Usually, a notary will be free at your bank. And so you can just go to your bank, you can get it notarized, and then it's in the bag. Actually, it's not quite in the bag. Go ahead and make 10 copies of it. Give 10 copies, oh yeah, and then tell the person that you gave power of attorney to that they're your power of attorney. Right? There's nothing so desperate as finding out that you're somebody's power of attorney at 2 a.m. when they got hit in the head with coconut, and you have to make decisions that you weren't prepared to make. Make sure they have 10 copies of this, because if they need to use it, they're going to need a bunch of copies. And then make sure that they know what you want. Say, oh, by the way, right? Which brings us, oh, I had 2 of those, all right. Which brings us to the next thing, which is your advanced healthcare directive. This is number 2 of the big 4. And when you go to fill this one out, get yourself a whole box of Kleenex, because it's a tough little ride. What do I want to happen when ... When I can't speak for myself, when I am having a big medical crisis, when I am dying, and there's lots of things in here, right? You name a healthcare agent. You can have a power of attorney and you can have a healthcare agent as long as they can act independently, or, and as long as they're not going to duke it out in the OK Corral. Okay, very often they can be the same person. But somebody that can help you get through your health crisis. And there's a whole bunch of lines that says, hey, what can my healthcare person do? You can say the only thing they can do is say whether you have an operation or not. The only thing that they can do is this. You can write things down. When can they make decisions for me? Right? They aren't going to come barging into your colonoscopy and be like, wait a minute. It's not that. It's when can they make those decisions for me, and how can they do that? And then there's a spot to make your own healthcare choices. And here's where the Kleenexes come out, right? You answer questions like, what really makes my life important is, oh, there's a lot of things here. It's meant to inform people, inform your family, inform your children or your grandchildren, or even a perfect stranger about what matters to you. And thinking about that for a minute is a heavy deal. I was filling this out a couple of years ago in my home office, and I was just boo-hooing. I'm an easy get, right? Dog food commercials get me. Any old thing gets me. But I was boo-hooing away in my office, and my husband opened the door and said, hey, babe, and then just went, oh, and then just clicked the door behind him, because it's emotional. There's a lot of things. My life is always, you can check this, yes or no, my life is always worth living no matter how sick I am or how much I need machinery to stay alive. That's a lot. How much machinery? How sick? It's a big deal. I would prefer to die. Right? This is like getting a note from Darren Traxinger in 3rd grade. Do you like me? Yes, no, check one. Yes, I liked him very much. I would prefer to die at home, in the hospital, I'm not sure, or other. Interesting. End of life decisions. Choice to live as long as possible. It's important to say, do you want us to do everything? You want us to go ahead and break your ribs doing CPR? Let us know. Choice not to prolong dying. That's a big decision. You have to actually say there are some things to choose. Artificially given food and liquids. You got to decide about that. Do I look like a girl that wants to be starved to death? Oh no. You can kind of think that, but you better check my paper. There's lots of things to do in here. You can even say, there's a little part that says, hey, do you want to donate organs, relief from pain, other wishes? On the one that I did, I don't know what, I must have been doing 5 wishes. It said something like, do you want to forgive everyone in your family for all the crummy things that they did to you? Oh man, mine's like 5 pages long. Yes, except, you know who you are. And another thing, when I was 9, right? And you can do all of those things, right? It's your right to leave the things, but leave it for somebody so that they know. This is another notarized one, and they have to decide that you are in your right mind. So don't go in there after a couple of gin and tonics. The next one then is this little baby, a last will and testament. It's super easy. Alaska is one of those holographic will states, which sounds really fun, sounds Star Trek-y, but it just means you can handwrite it. So you can just handwrite things in here. It doesn't need to actually have anything done. It does have a place where you can have it notarized, and you can actually file it with the state of Alaska. Now, all of these things, but especially this thing, make sure that you, once again, it's not enough to fill out your advance care directive or your power of attorney if you don't tell anyone. Do it and then tell somebody and give them a copy and let them, mine is actually sealed in an envelope. I don't need my husband to read that. Not until he needs to read it. Because I said some things that he does not probably agree with, but it's not his choice, it's mine. And so he's going to read it later. It'll be a surprise. Your will, however, everyone should know about. This is, and again, you're saying, oh, I don't need to do that. I have everything. It's going to go to my husband. It's going to go to my wife. Oh, not without a big court talking. And there's even going to be court. There's going to be a lot of things. But if they never find it, they'll never know. So treat this like my trip from UAF to Mexico. I went and lived in Mexico, and my dad said, do not, under any circumstances, get off the plane and drink a bunch of beer and eat things out of a street vendor. You will die. Well, that sounds like a challenge to me. And so about 15 minutes after I got off the plane in Mexico, I did just exactly that, and I was so sick. I just knew I was going to die. And I literally took my plane ticket, and I taped it to my pajamas every night with a note on it that says, please don't bury me in a Mexican a graveyard. I don't even speak the language. Please send my body home to this address. Treat your will like that. Everybody knows where it is. Everybody knows how to get it. Everybody knows you have one. And you can even file it with the state of Alaska so that you've got one. You can change it all you want. You can play around with it. You can scratch people off. I've had enough of you, right? Fine. But have something. It will still probably go to court, but it will be a whole lot faster. And then this one is the surprise dark horse. The one in the back here, and this is a Pioneer Home application. I'm not going to ask anybody to raise your hands and say if you're 60 or not. But if you're 60, you can get on the inactive list of the Pioneer Home. And my strong suggestion is you have your birthday cupcake for your 60th birthday in the foyer of the Pioneer Home and you sign up. Because the only way you can get into the Pioneer Home is by standing in line. You can't buy your way in, you can't sick your way in, you can't bully your way in. You got to stand in line. And if I fill this out on Tuesday, August 16th of 2022, the person that fills it out on Thursday, the 17th, is standing behind me. And this is not the kind of deal where your number comes up and they say, well, Beth Gray, and they send the men in gray to your house and they pack up your stuff and said, okay, well, it's time to go, right? You're just standing in line for a chance, and you need to start on the inactive list. When you're ready to go to the active list, you and your doctor and you fill out paperwork. But if that's 30 years from now when I'm ready to go, I'm standing ahead of everybody that signed up after me, and probably I'm at the front of the line. So when I really need to go, I've planned ahead. So you have some things working in the background. You may never decide to go. You may be 100 years old and be like, nope, I'm good. But you have the chance if you want to go, and you need to start planning for that now. It takes 10 minutes. Send it in with a copy of your ID, and you're good to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But in the end, your estate will go into probate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That means you're going to hire an attorney.
Yep.
That attorney is going to take a couple of years to process this, possibly, and eat up 25 to 30% of your estate in costs. Okay? Or, as I have done, and I encourage my family to
Correct.
A trust that you have total control.
Mhm.
He or she will take you through this paperwork,
Mhm.
handling your executors and your health care, your power of attorney, whole 9 yards.
Yes.
Okay? For $1,500 to $2,000. And I heartily endorse it because when my mother passed away, it took me 2 weeks to finalize her entire estate. No attorney,
Mhm.
private, no advertisements. I just presented myself as the executor, and I was able to do everything.
100%.
All up.
Yep.
So, most people are scared to death of the idea of
Yeah.
trust,
Yeah.
a revocable trust.
Mhm.
But it really is the way to go.
I thank you. I 100% agree. That's these guys. These are your estate planning attorneys. These are your estate planning attorneys, your CPAs, your money folks, and you're exactly right. 1,500, 2,000. It's running a little bit closer to 3,000 these days, but it's money well spent, depending on your stuff. If all somebody's getting is my turtle and my, 1992 Jeep Cherokee, it's maybe not worth it, depending on how much you love your turtle. You can also have other pieces of paper that can deal with that you can do yourself. But I totally agree. If you have the means to do it, if you have the time to do it, if you have the inclination to do that, absolutely visit these folks. A trust is a delight. And it does speed things up, and it does keep things moving. By and large, the folks that we talk to, or a lot, do not have an extra $1,500 to $2,000. It's just not in the budget. And we can say, well, that's short-sighted, and it's, all these things, and you can save it up. But boy, if you're relying on every penny to keep the lights on, that's a hard choice to have to make. But absolutely, if you have that ability and you have any thought of doing that, a trust is a beautiful way to go. But these things will get you through it. These things, these 4 bigs, will get you in the ballpark. And for starting your network of care, it's a solid 4 pieces to have. And once again, as we're looking at love and belonging and esteem and self-actualization, all of those things, if you're settled, these things are surprisingly comforting. You get them done and you're like, okay, now I can, go base jumping in Acapulco. Perfect. Because I know what's going to happen. Tracy?
You talked about the advanced healthcare directive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 5 wishes, but what is the one that you're talking about? Is that the state one?
Yep, this is the state one. Yep. And I actually did both of them just to see how to do it. 5 Wishes is a lot more emotional. I would like to call on my hospital staff right now, or my staff, they work for me. The staff from the hospital is here. Is it true we're getting away from 5 Wishes?
Yeah, a little bit. Some concern it's not a legal document, so I think the state document meets all the requirements of state statute. I think the 5 Wishes is super helpful for when you think about what you want, and then as you go through that, maybe go back over to the state form. Do the legal part.
Yeah. And so I think that we are just getting away from that for just exactly the reasons that Kari said. There's another form that I don't include in this because I don't think it's necessary for everyone. But if you do become ill, or as you get very superannuated, as we like to say, a post is really important. A post is kind of the new look at the DNR, the do not resuscitate, right? And you keep it, like my family's is right on the fridge for my grandma. She's 100, the post is right on there, and she says, no CPR, like no thanks, I'm good. And then it says some other things. Gosh, if you can do this, yep, I'll take that. Yep, I'll take some fluids, I'll take some oxygen, I'll take some, things like that. But a pulse, POLST, is that right? Yeah, I don't know what it stands for.
Yeah. The state of Alaska has a really great website, so just Google search Pulse State of Alaska. They've got an amazing website, amazing education videos, and training for the Pulse.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what my family did. They just went and got that training, they got it, and they took it to their doctor, and it does require a doctor to sign it for you. So it's one of the things to have, but I don't include it in here. Yeah, Carol?
So Beth, is it your sense, or do you even know, that with the demands people and the fright that people felt with COVID, that people did come to grips a little more with what does DNR mean for me? And what is the importance of having my healthcare directives made clear, or are
Nope.
we still in denial?
Nope. Nope, COVID didn't do it for us. Nope, in fact, people called probably less about that and more about just immediate things. What COVID did is kept people at home, and they went, oh, this is not a thing. I cannot do this for long. Or they got less income, and so things fell apart a little bit more, or they, recognized some of the other things that they need, but that really was not one of them. Which is a shame, I know, really. So the next thing that we do when we're talking about network of care is we explore the options for achieving, meeting, or keeping your goals, and then connect to the resources. We aren't going to spend too long because we don't need to. You just explore. You start with yourself. Again, what do I want this to look like? Look at examples, right? It is just exactly like kitchen shopping. Love it. This is how I want it to look. Look at people who are aging well. Look at people who are being adventurous and doing the things that you want to, and then just copy them shamelessly. Consult trusted experts, whether those are trusted friends or, again, an estate planning attorney. Choose what you're willing to add or subtract. And I really did think about this sentence for a long time. Choose what you're willing to add or subtract. Again, some people just need to have a maid come in twice a week or once a week just to help keep up with things, because that's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to take this amount of help. I'm willing to take rides. I'm willing to start using the bus. I'm willing to sign up for Vantran. I'm willing to do these things. And then work to make the model meet the reality that you desire. And then connect to the services you need. Start with friends and family. What can we do? How can we help each other? What's going to happen when Auntie, who has no children, gets old? You point to the ones and say, I'm living in your basement. And let them know that right now. Start working on them. You got to ply them with Christmas gifts and candy, starting when they're young. Also, educate yourself regarding supports and services. This is a good thing. All these people that you've seen for the health summer sessions, perfect. Contact people, agencies, providers, and trusted experts. Start asking now. Call some of those folks on the list and say, hey, what do you do? They would love to tell you. And the last one is ask for what you want to need and then make arrangements to get what you want to need. It's not enough to know and just like put it out into the world. Like I know there's all this thing about putting out vibrations and I'm going to manifest it. Don't do that. Just call and get it. But be careful. Ask for what you want, and then if you get it, adjust. I go, oh, hey, that wasn't what I wanted. And you're going to see this one a lot, right? It's perfectly clear. See through them. Sorry, I love these guys. Cyanide and Happiness. If you haven't read them, go for it. This is something that you'll see a lot. And this is what we're talking about. This is the money, right? Here we are as a network of care. Here you are living independently, support for individuals and the caregivers, and here are some of the things that you can choose from depending on your need. If you are not a superannuated person or you don't have a terminal illness diagnosis, you may not need some of these things. If you don't have needs right now, but know that they exist. and know when to use them and how to use them. Think about primary care and transportation and home mods and all these things. This is your network of care that's going to keep you living here. And we want to do that. The goal is to move back to the lowest level of care possible. As you have less care or greater needs, you move this way, ending up possibly at acute care. You don't want, we love FMH. We do not want to live there. We may need some of these things, but the more of these things that you have and you make use of, not just know where they are, not just know who runs them, but you make use of them, the more that you do that, the more likely you are to be able to stay here. The sooner you make some small changes in your home or your diet or your paperwork or any of those things, the less likely you are to have to move out of there. And you can live there for as long as possible. Level of care and need is low. And it's important to know that this is actually the best thing for our community too. The best thing for our community is for you to use resources and live at home. The other things are expensive, they're hard to get, they're, again, limited. And so using those things at home are the best things to do. And then once you've done these things and you've created this care, follow up to make sure your needs are met. Evaluate where you are in the continuum of care, right? Or evaluate just where you are in the mirror and say, man, am I getting what I need? Am I doing it? Did I have to work too hard today just to make it? Or is somebody working too hard? Consult with your trusted friends, your family, your caregivers, your providers. Ask them, hey, am I making it? Am I doing it? Am I set to make it for longer? Do I have the things that I need? Give me your suggestions. I'll be happy to. If not, hey, call ADRC North. We'll be happy to talk to you about the things that you need. We aren't going to decide what you need, but we're going to show you and say, listen, here are the things to pick from. It sounds to us like you are headed like this. Does that sound right? We talk about it. This isn't a 5-minute phone call where you call and say, give me the number to the, Pioneer Home. Sometimes you'll call and say that, but most of the time we're talking about other things. And then recalibrate. The shoes that I liked in 7th grade, those jelly shoes, remember those ones that made your feet stink and then you got all the blisters in the world? Right? I can't wear those anymore. I don't like them anymore. Recalibrate to the dance goes that are like big girl friendly. Yeah. Right? Recalibrate. Wear the shoes that fit today. They might not be the shoes that fit tomorrow, even though you loved them and they felt good then. If they don't feel good today, take them off and put on something that feels better. Last thing, no matter where you go, take a friend with you. Thank you to North Star Council on Aging, which is our home organization, Aging and the Fairbanks Senior Center, which is the home to us. Thank you to all the individuals, and some of you are sitting here, individuals, providers, partner agencies that help individuals and families create a network of care and support an aging in place in Fairbanks. And thanks to UIF Summer Sessions, the Healthy Living Series, and all those incredible presenters that you saw. All of these talks, except for mine, it won't be online in a few weeks. Mine won't, I don't know why, but I'm gonna pay Dave off, I guess, so that it doesn't make it, oh, I broke your thing. They're all on, that was like a disaster. Yeah, call me, I'm gonna help you. I can't even keep a remote safe. Good idea. Thank you so much.
She does, I just want to say, she does much more than what she even is selling right now. Beth does amazing work for our community, for individuals needing health insurance, to housing, to food, delivering even just food to somebody's doorstep when they need it. Beth goes out of her way. So if you have somebody that needs including help, yeah, definitely. So kudos, Beth, for all you do.
Thanks. We want to talk to them. We have, I am not alone. I work in the office with an incredible lady by the name of Bonnie Lowe. She's a program specialist. I work with a lovely lady in Delta Junction named Deborah Snyder. And I think I already introduced the lovely Alice Orlick, who is our intake specialist. When you call ADRC North, chances are really good you're going to be talking to Alice first. And she's going to help you. Just go ahead and tell her everything. She wants to know all the things, right down to what kind of food your cat eats.
Wonderful talk, Beth. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thanks.